Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we try to make sense of the financial jungle and tell you if it is a jungle gym or a real jungle. Today we're peeling back the curtain on Graphjet Technology, a company that has been through some turbulence and is asking shareholders for a pretty significant refresh. Graphjet Technology filed this report on the 22nd of December 2025, and it is a big one detailing a lot of changes approved at their annual shareholder meeting. Think of it as a company's yearly checkup, but with some major decisions being made about its future direction and how it plans to raise more funds. So what happened at this meeting? Well, the shareholders got together virtually, of course, and they voted on several key things. The most important was a proposal to increase the company's authorized share capital. This proposal is really about giving the company permission to issue a lot more shares in the future. Before this vote, they were authorized to issue shares worth about $50,000, but now they want to be able to issue shares worth up to $6 million. That is a massive jump, allowing them to have up to 1 billion shares. Why would a company want this flexibility? It could be for future acquisitions. Perhaps another company might want to buy them out, or they might need to raise significant capital by selling more stock. And speaking of selling stock, they also approved issuing a significant number of shares. They approved issuing over 3 million shares to International Liquidity LLC and over 11 million shares to Tan-Chin Tiong. These issuances are tied to existing agreements. What this means is they are converting some debts or obligations into actual ownership of the company. For existing shareholders, this dilutes their ownership stake, but it also shows the company is managing its financial obligations. Then there was the warrant exercise proposal. Warrants are like options to buy shares at a certain price. So this vote allows Aiden Leaping Wei to exercise his warrants, which means he can buy over 3 million ordinary shares. Again, this is another way new shares are being issued and ownership gets spread a little thinner. All these changes to share capital and issuances needed a formal update to the company's foundational documents. So they approved amending their memorandum and articles of association. This is essentially updating the company's rulebook to match the new reality of its capital structure and how it can operate. On a more personnel note, they re-elected Chris Wei as a director for another 3-year term. This shows continuity in leadership, which can be a good sign for stability. They also ratified the selection of Crete and Chu LP as their independent auditors. This means these accounting professionals will be checking the company's books for the next couple of years, ensuring everything is properly accounted for. This is a standard procedure, but crucial for maintaining trust with investors. Now here is a piece of context that is really important. This report states that the registrant was suspended from trading on Nasdaq on the 13th of November 2025. This is a pretty big red flag. When a stock is suspended, it usually means there is a serious issue, a lack of compliance, a financial problem, or some other regulatory concern. This suspension likely precedes the events described in this filing and suggests the company needed to make these changes to potentially get back into good standing or to fundamentally restructure itself. Now let's look at the voting numbers themselves for a moment. In the proposal to increase authorized share capital, there were a substantial 2,577,793 votes in favor, which clearly demonstrates strong shareholder backing for this fundamental change in the company's structure. And for the auditor ratification proposal, over 2.7 million votes were cast in favor. This shows confidence in the accounting firm chosen to oversee their financial reporting. The re-election of Chris Wei also saw over 2.5 million votes in favor, indicating that a majority of voting shareholders are comfortable with his continued leadership. However, it is important to note the high number of abstentions and broker non-votes in some of these resolutions. Abstentions mean shareholders chose not to vote on an issue, and broker non-votes occur when a broker holds shares but does not receive instructions from the beneficial owner on how to vote. These can obscure the true sentiment of shareholders and sometimes allow proposals to pass with less than overwhelming support from the actual beneficial owners. For instance, in the warrant exercise proposal 1836, 767 shares were abstained. That is a lot of folks not taking a stance. Overall, Graphjet Technology is clearly in a period of significant transformation. The massive increase in authorized share capital and the issuance of new shares suggest a strong need for capital or a strategic pivot. The suspension from Nasdaq is a major concern that investors will need to understand fully. While the shareholder votes show approval for these structural changes, the context of the Nasdaq suspension looms large. My take here is that Graphjet is trying to reset itself. They are likely trying to raise money or restructure in a way that satisfies regulators and potentially allows them to trade again. The big question is, will this be enough? The sheer scale of the share capital increase is notable and could signal future growth initiatives or simply a lifeline. However, without knowing the reasons for the Nasdaq suspension and the company's specific plans for this new capital, it is hard to see this as anything other than a company in a critical phase. The future direction hinges on how effectively they can deploy this new capital and navigate any remaining regulatory hurdles. Alright, that is our breakdown of Graphjet Technology's latest filing. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.